Ooh, what's good, Bulls fans and Horniacs, and welcome back to another postseason edition to the Horns Over Hoops podcast. We are your hosts for the evening, Stale Bass and Scott Berman. Dan Gracie getting yet another day off. But congratulations are in order to Dan Gracie because him and his lovely wife has just successfully completed purchasing their very first home. We wish them all the best, and hopefully that's a smooth and exciting transition for them. But I got Scott Berman with me today. Scott, how you doing? Wait a second. Actually, before you answer that, you want to tell me how you get stranded in Canada?
Yeah. So, I was in Canada last week. I was there for my mother-in-law's memorial. My wife's originally from Canada, so we went up there, saw some family. But our flight back, I think it was Wednesday. Our flight was supposed to be at like 7 p.m. They get delayed an hour. We're at the airport at 6 because that's when the rent-a-car is due. So we're there at 6. The flight was supposed to be at like 7:30. It gets delayed an hour. And then it gets delayed till 10 p.m. They finally board us. We get on the flight and they say, there's a dent in the engine. Everybody get off the plane. We don't have another flight for you. Go find customer service. So this is like 11 p.m. We get to customer service. They get us a hotel room. They rebook us a flight for the next day. So stuck in Canada overnight. Also, so we get to the hotel. This is probably midnight-ish. We get to the hotel. They never called the hotel, never booked any rooms. So we had to wait an hour for them to book rooms for us. So finally got in the room at 1 a.m. and had to be back at the airport for a noon flight. So I don't know, got 4-5 hours of sleep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How long's the flight? Well, where'd you guys go in Canada again?
Well, we were in Toronto, so it's an hour and a half. It's a super short flight, but it's just like it happened at the worst time because that was like the last flight of the night.
Oh, geez.
By the time, So that was fun.
Nothing like
I did get to go to customs, but
you did.
So we had to go to customs first time, and then you have to. The way the airport we were set up is we went through the international terminal, so we had to leave customs to go to customer service and then customs again in the morning. So went through customs a lot. I was worried they're going to ask us, why are you back already?
Because you won't let me leave.
Yeah.
That's why I'm back. Let me leave. You won't see. I promise you won't see me again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. It's good to have you back in the good old US of A. I know you missed out on our Hayes episode. If you guys didn't check out our episode featuring Hayes, go check that out. Hayes was extremely funny. He was extremely cool to have on the show. We really enjoyed having him. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, it's titled Draft Day with the 11th pick in the draft. We center around talking about the Bulls draft and all that. Hayes is a really good guy. Go ahead and look him up on Twitter, wherever you consume your podcasts, and enjoy him. But I've actually had a similar stretch of bad luck because immediately after recording that Hayes episode, I got like extremely sick. And I was actually relieved because we've been wanting to film that Hayes episode for a while now. Just our schedules conflicted and this and that. But after that, like I started getting what appeared to be like a cold, where like your nose is running and you're blowing your nose every 5 minutes. But then like a day after that, right when you think you'd start to be getting better, my nose felt like I was punched in it repeatedly, and I had it felt like a really bad sinus infection. And I was just sick as a dog. I ended up missing work, something I never do. I never call in sick to work, and I ended up missing work for it. So I'm glad I at least got the Hayes episode out of the way. But anyway, the show must go on. We got some Bulls news for you. We got our look on the NBA playoffs so far. We got the upsets, we got the winners, and we got our expectations going forward. We have a new segment on the show that we like to call Ask a Horniac, where we ask one of you guys to ask us a question, and we read it on air and answer it how we feel we would answer it. We got some WNBA news, and we got some horns or thorns coming your way, because I don't think I've ever sat down and had a horns or thorns with just Scott. So we're going to play some horns or thorns. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Scott, not much Bulls news happening. We did have the signing of Wes Unseld Jr. To the assistant coaching staff. We did add another coach in the form of Danny Craig. Alex Caruso did make the all defensive second team for the NBA, and Lonzo Ball thinks that he can start playing the season opener. So we'll start with the coaching change. What do you feel about these coaching shakeups and going forward here?
We needed some sort of change. I do wish that it was more than just assistant coaches, but assistant coaches can do a lot. Just kind of look at the Celtics. Sorry, Doc Rivers wasn't the reason they won. Part of the reason they won was Thibodeau, because he had them working crazy on defense. So obviously it wasn't working with what we had. Maybe we'll start seeing some off-ball movements. Maybe we'll start seeing some better defense. I do like the additions. Danny Craig, what was he from the Clippers? And I forgot where Wes was from.
He was like the head coach of the Wizards.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Wizards, what can you do? That team is garbage.
Yeah.
Like they had two decent players and one of them is the biggest joke in the league. So what can you do? But they had some good stretches where they showed they can move the ball around and play offense, and they can same with the Clippers. The Clippers, it's such a weird team that there's just so many superstars and it seemed to work together. So I hope that helps, especially if, say, we don't trade Levine during the offseason. Maybe we can convince him to play more of like a Harden role or a Kawhi role where you're not fully the guy. So maybe it'll help him take a back seat a little bit and play through some of the other players like White and Io.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, everyone has been saying it, Zach LaVine is more valuable to this team than traded, because the writing's already on the wall where when we trade Zach LaVine, we're not going to get his value back. The Bulls have a extremely extensive list of losing trades when it comes to trading people away. So I can't really foresee us getting something back for LaVine that we will just instantly be happy about. I think it's just going to be a pure salary dump, and who knows, with new coaching staff that could give them the spark to want to stick around. But I'm with you. Like the signing of Wes Unseld Jr., especially somebody who has former head coaching experience, it's got my mind already thinking that they're already ready to silently move on for Billy Donovan. So here's the thing, and this is what I mean by that. I think Billy Donovan is one mediocre play-in season away from being fired and replaced with Wes Unseld Jr. Not to say that Wes Unseld is a great coach or a great replacement, but as we know, the Bulls always elect to take the cheaper alternative out rather than going after the big name coach. They always try to take the cheap alternative. They experimented with the Jim Boylans. They experimented with the Bill Cartwrights. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I can honestly see the Bulls having a terrible season this year, them firing Billy Donovan, promoting Wes Unseld Jr., and promoting Danny Craig to assistant coach. Danny Craig, no relation to Bulls forward Torrey Craig, though. So we'll see. But did you think that Alex Caruso got snubbed for all defensive team?
He was all defensive team too, so not really. Like he's good defensive, but I think he makes too many bad decisions where he fouls too often trying to make those plays. and that may have kept him from the first team, but it's who cares? He's still all defensive team. That's still a thing. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he got snubbed. He wasn't the best. What I don't even know, what was he considered, a forward or a guard?
I think he was considered put under there as a guard. So yeah, no big deal. I mean, you still won a quote unquote award. I mean, you're still recognized by the league. It does give the Bulls reinforcement as far as his name does still carry enough to get some trade value back if the Bulls elect to go down that route during the offseason. But in the end of the day, again, who cares? So
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the first defensive team. It's all centers.
yeah, I think it was like Gobert,
Bam, Victor,
Wemby, yep,
yeah, Anthony Davis. So it's like the guys that get the blocks. So that's what they went for first, is the guys that get the blocks. But he's on the same team as Jaden McDaniels and Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
That's some good company right there.
A lot of guards.
Derek White,
Yep,
Jalen Suggs, all guards.
all guards.
So
see, that's messed up, and like it's quote unquote an all defensive team.
yeah,
Why wouldn't they make it like 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center? You know what I mean?
But whatever. It's not like you don't get anything different if you're first or second. So it's still what it really shows to me is that's more value for a trade.
Yeah, that's
for
very
him.
true. Yep. We are looking to shake up the roster a little bit, so we'll see what avenue they go down. And speaking of potential trades here, you buying that Lonzo Ball is ready to play the season opener?
No. We've been hearing it for how many years? 2 years that he's going to play this year. He's shooting, he's healthy. I believe Hayes brought it up in the interview you guys had, was if he does play, he's going to play 15, 20 minutes. He's going to play half the games. He's not going to play any back-to-backs. But also, I don't think he'll ever be back healthy. He'll never be the type of player that he used to be. I don't think he's going to be able to play defense as hard as he did. And that's the big thing that he brought, was he was a massive help on our defense because we struggled so much.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't want him to come back. Like, I feel like that's just going to be a distraction.
For the Bulls.
To the Bulls.
Oh, okay.
I'm all for him coming back to the NBA and trying, but I don't want him on the Bulls. It's going to take away minutes from Kobe, Io, Dalen Terry.
Yeah.
So those young players that need more minutes, it's going to take it away for a guy that we have to play because we're paying him so much and we have to try. And it's going to be sad to see him come back. And what if he comes back and he's just like, we're just playing him just to play him and he can't do anything.
Right.
Like, he's not a player that was a jump shooter. So it's not like when Kobe got hurt and it's like he can still shoot. And he was able to change his game to that. That's not how Lonzo was. So his game was kind of drive. He could take the 3, but it was mostly defense. So I don't see him coming back to being anywhere near as good as he was.
Yeah. So here's the thing, man, because like at this point we've covered it a million times, and this show is starting to become the will Lonzo Ball come back to play podcast. But I mean, we're beating a dead horse when we say this, but he will come back. But what impact can a player who missed 2+ years of basketball? I'm not talking about just he was on and off the court like a Zach LaVine, completely gone from the sport, wondering if the man can even walk again. I mean, I know we mentioned it on the Hayes episode that there was problems with him even climbing some stairs. And now you're telling me this man going from absolutely no basketball to 3 years later, he's going to play basketball and still perform at that elite level that he did before he got injured after a massive life-altering injury. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. I think that if he comes back, he'll play limited minutes in the backup position, and we will kind of just dangle him in front of teams because I'm sure coming off the bench and he'll show some flashes where he can impress some teams, and some teams will want to take a gamble on him. And that's great because he's making $21.4 million. So if we can unload that contract, awesome. But I don't foresee him coming back and taking his starting role back, especially since, like you mentioned, players like Kobe White have earned it. And at this point, I would take Kobe White shooting over, Lonzo Ball any day. Ayo Dosunmu with his hustle and his speed and his defense, my goodness, the list goes on and on. But I'm just not buying it. Moral of the story. So something that we are not seeing the Bulls in the NBA playoffs. Scott, we've had an interesting NBA playoffs going on so far. So what have you liked? What have you not liked?
First thing, congratulations to the Pacers. I did not think that, well, I think both Dan and I said Knicks in 5. We were so confident about Knicks in 5, but really Pacers hung in there. And as bad as it sounds, the Tibbs effect happened. Injuries started piling up in the playoffs. People got hurt, and the Pacers played through it. I don't see them taking, maybe they might win one game. The Celtics just look so much better than them.
Well, they've had a lot of rest.
Yeah. And I believe Halliburton got hurt last game. I don't remember if he came back.
I don't recall. I mean, he may or may not have, but
yeah, but
they're down 2-0, so
yeah, if Halliburton is out for any time, it's over. But I see the Celtics winning that one pretty easy. The Timberwolves Mavs, it's been such a close series. Like, I believe both of them ended on like basically game-winning shots or like game-losing mistakes. Yeah. So either team could win that. That's such a good. They're both so good, and I'm glad the Mavericks are finally getting it together.
Oh, like yeah.
I just did not think they were gonna, especially at the beginning of the year when they started trading some of the players that they picked up, and I just felt like they were kind of dysfunctional. So it's good to see that working out. Kyrie Irving and Luka are playing so well together. But it's been a fun playoff, and I'm glad that I read a thing that it was like, this is the first time since the 70s that there's not been a back-to-back winner.
Oh, wow.
In the NBA finals. So, it's like five NBA titles in a row. There's not going to be a back-to-back. So that hasn't happened since the 70s, which is crazy.
Yeah. Considering the fact that nowadays the NBA has gotten into it's gotten a bad reputation. Obviously it's not 100% true, but the NBA has always gotten a bad reputation for fixing games. They just want LeBron in the finals and obviously to make their money. But yeah, with the playoffs this year, it's anyone's championship. I mean, like we said in the prior cast, it used to be that the beginning of the NBA season, who was going into the finals. It's just who's going to be playing them. Like the Warriors, we knew the Warriors were going to be in the finals. Who's playing the Warriors? Or like when LeBron was in Miami, Miami's going to be in the finals. Who's going to be playing them? So, but yeah, I called that Indy game and I called that Mavs game. A lot of you guys had the Thunder taking that series, and I don't know. I just knew there was something about that young Thunder team where they are talented. I didn't think they had enough to beat Luka and Kyrie, especially like you said, they've been playing on another level. Kyrie Irving finally has come back down to earth and started playing real basketball. And it looks like he's kind of quit with the antics, and ever since that Danny Gafford trade, they're just playing on another level. So I do have them. I hate to break your bubble. I do have them beating the Timberwolves for the final spot though.
I'm fine with that. Like, Luka needs some respect from the NBA media, I kind of want to say, because it's like, sorry, he should have won MVP this year.
Yeah.
And
Oh
the
yeah.
fact that he kind of seems to have the Westbrook effect where it's like, well, he's good, but he does this every year, so we're just not going to give it to him.
Exactly. Like, just to put in perspective, the only game I went to this season was when we played the Mavs. The man almost had a triple double in the first half. Now, granted, I know we're not an elite team, so to speak, but if you just watch the guy go out there and play, the man looks like he's playing pickup ball. Like his energy level, it's like it's there, but it's like he's just messing around. You know what I mean? And he can accomplish all this stuff. And he's like the most awkward looking person in the league, probably next to Jokic, and he's just doing it effortlessly.
It's the white Central European NBA player effect. It's just like, yeah, we're just out here. We're just here to have fun. This is our side hobby.
Yeah, who do you got winning that series? Like truth be told, who do you got winning the Timberwolves and Mavs season?
I really don't know. Because the Mavs have been playing really well, but the Timberwolves are a really good team. And if they can there's such a close games that it could go either way. I would love to see the Timberwolves make the finals, but also you can't root against Luka, so it's hard.
Right.
I figured out what Luka reminds me of. Do you know who Max Verstappen is?
Max Verstappen, no.
So Max Verstappen, F1 racer, he's by far the best racer on the circuit right now. Like, you expect him to win. I think there's been like 7 or 8 races. I think he's only lost one. In that race, he came in second place.
Oh, wow.
So Max Verstappen, by far the best. But he also is a sim racer. And last week, they had the Imola race, the one in Italy.
Yeah.
He literally was doing a 24-hour Le Mans race the night before. And like, he kind of takes that way more seriously than the F1 races. And it's kind of like, he's just kind of there doing it. And that's what Luka reminds me of.
So like Luka cares more about 2K in a sense.
Yeah, he just kind of doing whatever his thing. It's kind of like Jokic. He's more into like his horse racing and all that kind of stuff. But he's just doing it just to do it. It's just
Yeah. I mean, he's still a tremendous athlete, and like I said, it's a shame that well deserved. Jokic, congratulations, but yeah, I think next year you're going to see the dominance of Luka in full effect. So, and of course, we both kind of agreed that we got Boston taking that Indiana series. I mean, rather effortlessly, my ad. I think if Indiana wins one game, they'll be lucky just because the experience isn't there. I'm big on if teams have experience, they'll move on. And I think in this NBA playoffs, there's no team with the experience, the drive, the whatever you want than the Boston Celtics. I mean, do you have them winning it all, or who do you got winning it all?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, first, Halliburton is questionable with left hamstring soreness. So it's like you hurt your hamstring, that series is done with Halliburton. Like it's going to be hard to come back from that. But
yeah,
I don't know. The Celtics, they're one of these times they're going to win it. Like, they keep making it there or super close to the finals. They make it to the Eastern Conference Finals like every year. So one of these times they have to win it. This may be the year.
Yeah.
But both those West teams are really good. So I can't tell you who's going to win. I have no idea. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just because, these two teams right now in the West are matching up really well on both ends, both guards and forward position. But I'd like to see how they match up against Boston. I know Anthony Edwards is going to go to do Anthony Edwards things, but Jason Tatum is going to do Jason Tatum things and throw Jaylen Brown, Derek White. I mean, it's going to be a fun, interesting series. I can see the finals going the distance. I can see them winning a few games. I'm going to say this is going to go 7 games.
I'm all for it. That's been most of the playoffs. There hasn't really been, I don't think there's been a sweep.
I think the Boston swept.
Okay,
Boston's
but
no, I mean,
other than that, it's like the Pacers game, the
yep.
Pacers Knicks 7,
Mhm.
um, the Timberwolves with
7.
I 7, the Mavs went 7 against Oklahoma.
Yep.
So this has been a really competitive playoffs, and I'm glad. I'm sick of just one team just running through everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it was pretty much what the NBA was, but I'm glad they're kind of staring away from it because forcing the it's really forcing the fans to start studying all the teams evenly instead of just paying attention to just one team. Now fans know the entire league better. I'm starting to see that there's more people that know the NBA as a whole as opposed to just those two teams that are good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens later on. Scott, today is the first episode that we are going to introduce a segment that we like to call Ask a Horniac. And that's where we ask you guys to ask us a question and we'll read it on air as well as your response. And we'll tell you what we think about it. Today's question comes from Discord server user Juice Does Everything. Shout out Juice. And his question is, what is the best trade the Bulls have ever done, and what is the worst trade they've ever done? Whether it has had an instant impact or a long term ripple effect. He goes on to answer that for him, the best trade that he wanted to say was Scottie Pippen in the 1987 draft. It had a great yield and gave us 6 rings. The worst trade is for Nikola Vucevic. Our core without it would have been so much better with young players like Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and we wouldn't have to worry about the big contract for a player who is on the wrong side of 30. Juice, that's a great question. Scott, you want to go first?
The best trade,
Yeah.
Rodman.
Rodman?
Immediately.
Okay.
That he brought something different to what he was part of. He was the three-peat, the second three-peat, right? He won 3. Yeah.
Yep.
He brought, I feel like, the hustle and like just a different mentality that team was kind of missing. He brought the bad boy Pistons mentality to that team. And I think that kind of brought the team back.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
what did we trade for him? Like Will Purdue?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I forgot, actually, if you think about
Yeah.
it.
So I think that's the best trade that we've ever done is bringing him in.
Yeah.
Like, I know he had his antics and stuff, but I don't think they win all 3 titles without him.
And then who do you got for your worst?
Our worst trade? I don't even know. Come back to me. I got to think about that one. What's yours?
Oh, geez. Okay. So best trade. I mean, he might not. I mean, Juice might not be that far off when he says that Scottie Pippen trade was the best trade. I may have to agree with him, but I don't want to just take his answer. But like Scottie Pippen was like the catalyst we needed to win 6 championships. Not saying that Mike couldn't do it, but like, every Batman needs a Robin, and we kind of traded, I mean, plus does anybody even know? I mean, I know, but I'm asking you guys, does anyone even know who we traded for to get Scottie Pippen? You know what I mean? So we won that trade hands down. But as far as winning a trade, ah, I would say it'd have to be one of those trades where we just dump somebody's huge salary. What's coming to head right now? I can't really even think of anything. I really liked I mean, I know not many people were watching basketball back then, but I really did like when we traded for Jalen Rose. We did get rid of 3 somewhat mediocre players, and in exchange, we got a player who can score in double digits. I mean, because back then the Bulls were really struggling to score. I mean, back in the Tim Floyd, Bill Cartwright era. So probably that would be my trade that I picked that we won, quote unquote. Um, for the worst trade though, geez, there's been so many. Like I said earlier, the Bulls have just an extended history of losing trades. So if you have to pick the winner of the loss, I'm still going to go with when we traded Tyrese Thomas for LaMarcus Aldridge, or vice versa. Um, because if you look at that entire series, the Bulls needed a power forward. And now I'm saying that if the Bulls would have kept the same roster with, eventually drafting Noah, I'm saying if you were to just slid uh LaMarcus Aldridge in there over Tyrese Thomas, that Bulls team would have been elite. You know what I mean? Think of a front court of a LaMarcus Aldridge and a Joakim Noah. That would have been sick, but that's a trade we will never be able to see. So I'm gonna have to go with that one. But his trade of getting Vooch, that's quickly becoming a close second in my book. You got your worst yet?
The only one I can think of is the fact that we traded 2 picks for Doug McDermott.
Yeah. See, okay. I know Juice personally, and he even mentioned the same thing. He said that we traded Gary Harris and Josef Nurkic for Doug McDermott. And where I agree with that, here's the thing. At the time, the Bulls didn't need a center and they didn't need a point guard. They needed a rifleman. So like it makes sense, but at the same time, it falls into that category of like you needed the position you needed, not the players you needed. You know what I mean? Because like you can argue, that the Rockets, mess up by drafting Olajuwon over Michael Jordan. It falls under that category, but it still sucks. But I mean, that's a good one. But there you going with that though?
Can I say when the Bulls traded their soul and let Jerry Reinsdorf buy them?
All right.
Does that win?
That wins. So Scott's answer is when the Bulls traded their soul for 6 rings and Jerry Reinsdorf winning. Okay. All right. I like it. Juice, thank you for your question. Go follow him on Discord. He's a really smart guy about basketball. If you want to be on Ask a Horniak, you know how to get a hold of us. Drop us a message on Discord. Drop us a DM on Twitter. Drop us a DM on Instagram. Email us. Text message us. Show up at our house and ask us. I don't care. Please don't. But if you're going to show up at my house and ask me a question, I'm probably going to put it on the air. So I'm not telling you where I live, you sicko. Just, figure it out. Don't figure it out, but whatever. Moving on, because Scott, I do notice, and show the Horniaks, you're rocking a sick Chicago Sky jersey. Shirt. Look at that. Like, can we just take a minute to admire the Chicago Sky logo? Is just incredible. Like, that's one thing Chicago teams always have. Our logos are always clean as hell. But now that you're wearing the Chicago Sky shirt, we're going to jump into some WNBA action because I don't know about you, but this WNBA season has got me pumped. So how are you liking the Sky?
I really like them. They seem like a scrappy team. Angel Reese was a great pickup. She's going to be a double machine later in the year. Sometimes she still seems a little lost, but I think she'll get a lot more comfortable. We haven't seen Cardozo yet. That's definitely going to take away Angel Reese's rebounds, but watching how often people drive to the lane, she is just going to be blocking everybody. She's not going to miss a beat. It's just going to be just like college, where she was just, you could not score on her. So, Marbury, she is a walking bucket. She can just hit a jumper from everywhere. And we really haven't seen DeShields. I think she's only played 2 games, and that was kind of our big offseason move, was getting her for the Kalia trade and the picks. So we'll start seeing her a lot more. And I think this team, I don't know if they're a championship team this year, but I think they can do pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. Angel Reese does bring that energy. I'm really liking her performances recently. She does look lost out there, but it's rookie It's rookie blues. I mean, the other game she had to cover Brianna Stewart. I mean, she's going up against some of the best players in the league, and I would say she's holding her own free throw wise. She was struggling with her free throws there for a minute, but that all is going to change once we get Cardoso back, because once Cardoso comes back, like you said, Angel Reese doesn't need to grab the 20 rebounds, the 15 rebounds. If that rebound total goes down, so be it. I don't need one player that grabs 20 rebounds. If I have two players that can each get a double-double, that's a win for me. So, and of course, with Cardoso being out, we did dethrone the undefeated New York Liberty, a team with, Brianna Stewart, Kiki Vandersloot. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Ionescu. Sabrina. There you go. We'll just call her Sabrina. And they did it. It was a battle, but they ended up winning it. So getting that Camila Cardoso back is only going to propel us even better. Like you said, I don't think this team is ready to win this year, but it is set up to win for years to come, because I think this is a very competitive team. And despite hold on, before we get into this, did you notice how weird the scheduling is? Like, there's teams like, well, take the Fever. The Fever just played their sixth game.
Yep.
And the Sky have just played their third game. They're set to play their fourth tonight. But like, why do you think their schedules are so weird?
Well, I think the Fever is just because the WNBA was trying to get people to watch Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Which it's definitely working, but I don't know why the Sky didn't have more. The fact that they have Angel Reese, which everybody knew, you'd think they would play just as much, but I think every other team has like 4 or 5 games, and then the Sky, they play their 4th game tonight, so they're going to start playing a lot more, and hopefully the Fever gets some rest, because geez.
Yeah. I mean, they play like 6 games right away. I mean, that's insane. And they, out of that 6 game, I mean, we'll get into it later, but they've only won 1 game in the last 6 games.
Yeah. But everybody needs to remember, the Fever had the number 1 pick 2 years in a row for a reason. They're not a good team.
Yep.
So I mean, they probably will get another number 1 pick this year and get Paige Beckers. And they're going to be, she is a walking bucket too.
Is she from Stanford or
UConn?
UConn. Okay. Yeah. UConn.
Yeah. So I expect them to get the number 1 pick again.
Yeah.
They're not a good team, but they're rebuilding with some really nice players. So we'll see.
Yeah, I asked Hayes on the last episode, but we were kind of bringing it up now. So who do you got winning Rookie of the Year? Angel Reese, or do you got Cameron, or Clark?
Clark's gonna win it. Like, she's still playing really well. She's top 5 in assists per game. Mm-hmm. She's averaging like 6 assists a game. She's averaging like 19 points. Her biggest problem is she turns the ball over a lot. She's still, like, a lot of people are talking about like, oh, she's struggling. The Fever are struggling. She's still having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
I think just people are expecting NBA numbers, and that's just not what you're going to get with the WNBA. Like, these game scores are in the 80s.
Yep.
You're not getting the 120 point games. So expect points per game way lower. So
yeah,
she's going to win it.
A lot of fans fail to realize that WNBA plays 8 less minutes than the NBA does. I mean, they're 40-minute games, 4 10-minute quarters. In the NBA, we play 12-minute quarters, so that's 8 minutes less. Yeah, you're losing some stats there. I will say the one thing I do like about Caitlin Clark, not that I don't like her, because she's a tremendous athlete. I love watching her play. The one thing I like about it is, have you seen, Scott? She's ran into some pretty hard picks, like to the point where she's running into a pick and it looks like she just about hit a brick wall. But she's getting up and getting right back on defense, or on defense, that is, yeah. Um, and it just goes to show you, like, she's already got the heart and soul of a professional, and it's just her rookie year. So she's showing emotions on the bench. I mean, I don't know if you heard her interview the other day where it's like, I don't really care about the social media part of it. My job here is to win basketball games, and right now we're still working on doing that. So, I just admire her. As far as rookie of the year, though, I mean, I would love to see Angel Reese win, just because she's got the fame, and I think she's more of a two. She's a better player than Caitlin Clark. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. Caitlin Clark is a great scorer, but Angel Reese is a great all around player. Like, if I had to pick them back to back, I would get fired because I would pick Angel Reese over Caitlin Clark.
I see what you're saying, but I'm just comparing stats right now. Reese 12, 9, and 1.
Mhm.
Clark is averaging 16, 5, and 6. Plus she's a block and a steal a game.
Yeah.
So Clark, she's I would say she's a better player.
Clark is,
but yeah, but also she's expected to be that player on the Fever. Her and Boston are expected to kind of be that player on the Fever. Reese is kind of, she's not the number one player on the team. She's not the number one scorer. She's just kind of there being the center, or she's kind of playing center now until we get Cardozo back, but we'll see once they kind of fit into each together. But regarding the screens, that's kind of her teammates aren't calling them out to her, or she's just not hearing it. So
yep,
that happens. But she's not gonna give up. She doesn't seem like a type of player that's ever gonna give up. She's always had the haters, even in Iowa. People didn't like her when they were playing LSU and South Carolina. They're always talking about her. So she's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But she's done a lot of popularity for the league. Like, I would have never talked about the WNBA with really many people. Like, I watched games randomly just because it was on.
Yep.
And it's like, how much White Sox baseball can I watch? So let's
Especially
watch the WNBA.
This year?
Oh my God. By the way, did you see the end of the White Sox game the other day when they called fielder interference during a infield fly roll and it ended the game?
No.
So the bases, I think there was a guy on first and second, pop fly, 1 out in the 9th. It infield, it like right in front of the shortstop position.
Yeah.
And while the shortstop was running there, he kind of like had to juke around the guy walking back to second base, and they called runner interference or fielder interference, and the game was over. So,
jeez.
Yeah, like Gunnar Henderson, the guy that caught the ball, was just super confused, and it was like, why is it over? What's happening? But
White Sox can't catch a break.
No, Jerry Reinsdorf, you ruin everything. I blame him.
Yeah. Please sell the team to Obama or Oprah Winfrey or you know what, Billy Crystal, or not Billy Crystal. I'm sorry, what was his name?
No, we're not moving to New York.
Bill Murray, not Billy Crystal.
Yeah. Bill Murray, I believe he's a Cubs fan. But
yeah.
Either way, like, I think you guys actually talked about it on the last episode, is if you sell the team, are the Sox going to stay in Chicago, or are they going to sell the team and immediately move them to be their number 2 right now in Chicago? If you sell the team and move them, they're going to be a number 1 in somewhere like Nashville or something like that. But that's a completely different market. So,
yep. Yeah, honestly, like it as big as, if you look at all the major market teams, they almost always have 2 teams in their city in almost every sport. LA, New York, whether it's a Brooklyn or New York, they always have to. But Chicago, for whatever reason, we never have two teams. And when we do have our two teams in baseball, it's always they either both suck terribly or there's a huge gap in talent between the two teams, and not to mention the fan bases. So, I mean, I would like to see. I would like to see them do better by the Sox. I mean, I know everyone is a Cub fan, but I would like to see them do better by the Sox. But drawing it all back to the WNBA, going back on this thing, we do have some expansion team news. I know everybody's heard the Golden State Valkyries. They just unveiled their logo not super long ago, and I think it's super sick. I love how they made they incorporated the bridge and everything like that. And also Toronto, where you were just at, Scott. Toronto just got news that they're getting an expansion team, but we don't know what the actual team name is going to be. So I'm asking you, what are your thoughts? What do you think the Toronto WNBA team is going to be called?
The perfect name that they should do is the Huskies. They should take that from the Raptors and be the Huskies. But they also could continue the dinosaur route with the Raptors, I don't know, and be like the pterodactyls or something like that, the triceratops, I don't know. Some sort of dinosaur related one. But I think the Huskies is the one that they do. I did see the Loons. The Loons would be good too.
Loons is cool. Dude, I'm so glad you picked the Huskies because before we jumped into this meeting, or before we jumped into this podcast recording, I actually told Scott, I'm like, I have two names. One name is kind of like a play on another team. So my two team names I thought it was going to be the Toronto Maples, which would have been a play off of the Maple Leafs, but it's like Maple, I mean, it's a cool name. And then the Huskies. And then the second team, I'm like, this is kind of somebody else's team. They'd be taking it from them. Because as everybody knows, the Toronto Huskies was an NBA team, a projected NBA team for a minute. In fact, I think the Raptors still do like Husky night once in a while.
Yeah, they do. They do the blue jerseys with the Huskies on it.
Yeah,
they absolutely should. I would love that. But that or the Loons, those are my two.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I had to like rank them, I would pick Huskies. I mean, the dinosaur theme, that'd be cool. I do like the pterodactyls, or like, actually it'd have to just be the pterodactyls because every other dinosaur doesn't. You can't really call the team the Toronto T-Rexes. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound, So yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I hope we see. Fun fact: I actually segue your side story here. I started a franchise on 2K with the Sky, and you can add your own expansion teams. But unlike the NBA, when you do an expansion team in the WNBA, you have to design the entire thing from top to bottom on your own. You can't just download a pre-made team. So I actually made the Toronto Huskies because that's what I thought the team was going to be. So very cool. Very cool. We'll see. Scott.
Yes.
You are going to be the first one of the hosts to play Horns or Thorns that are not a guest. If for those of you who don't know what Horns or Thorns is, like we've explained in prior episodes, it's essentially a this or that style game where I give you a scenario. If you agree with it, you say horns. If you disagree with it, you say thorns. And the categories can range from almost absolutely anything I feel like asking you. So without further ado, Scott, let's start playing. Question number 1 is Lonzo Ball gets healthy and has a successful return to the lineup for the season opener.
Thorns. It's not a chance.
Question number 2. With the 11th pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls will select a big man.
Horns. I think they have to. I did hear you guys talking about it. Hayes was big on Filipowski. I want no part of him. I'm part of it is I'm sick of these Duke players. Like, I know that.
Man, Booze Cruz was a Duker.
I know, but again, that's I just don't think that John Shire's anywhere near a coach that Coach K was. So
Yeah.
I just feel like these players aren't going to be nearly as good. I just don't think Filipowski. He just reminds me of like. Do you remember? I think Frank. I forgot his last name. The guy out of Wisconsin. He just bounced
Kaminsky.
around. Yeah. He bounced around the league for a long time. That's
Yeah.
what Filipowski reminds me of.
Okay, that's a good comparison. Side note, before we get to question 3, I called him a duker. What's the name of a duker? Dookie? I don't
It's
want
a
to call
dookie.
somebody a
It's a
it's a
dookie.
dookie. They're
Yeah.
called the Dookies.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, he's a dookie. Question 3. The White Sox make a key acquisition to help turn their otherwise abysmal season around this year. Horns or Thorns?
Thorns are actually probably going to trade some players.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they traded some starting pitching.
Okay.
Um, Garrett Crochet, either ace. I think he gave up 1 run in all of May,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very good trade piece. He's still super young, and this team isn't. Well, first, the GM has no idea what he's doing. He should have never got this job. The coach has no idea what he's doing. So there's no point of why not try to get something for him.
Yeah.
But then again, the GM has no idea what he's doing. So no, not a chance.
Yeah. Welcome to Chicago, where our coaches get jobs just because.
Well, what's his name? The coach. Or the GM, Chris Getz.
Yeah.
He was
a player. That's wasn't he?
I don't remember if he was a player, but he was in charge of the Sox minor league for years. And the Sox are notorious for having the worst development of players in MLB.
Yeah.
So good thing we put him as a general manager. That seems smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he played when Josh Fields, like Alexei Ramirez. You remember when we had that team?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. With,
Alexei, I miss him.
Yeah, Alexei, the guy who was thinner than the bat he was holding.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Question 4. I know you covered it, but Angel Reese will win the WNBA Rookie of the Year.
I don't think she will. I did put a bet down saying that she would, but we'll see if it happens. I would love for her to win Rookie of the Year. She has potential to do it. Cameron Brink also could win it. She's playing really well.
Yeah, Cameron Brink.
Yeah.
Question 5. Caitlin Clark will break the WNBA rookie 3-pointers made in one season record.
Oh, I don't even know what the record is. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Horns on that. I have no idea what the record is, but she's not shooting nearly as many threes as she was in college, but that's just the game. She can't be that person in the WNBA, and they're guarding her better.
Yeah, she does drive the paint a lot more, I noticed.
Yeah, and she's definitely getting a lot more assists.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
People also need to keep in mind these aren't college players. These aren't players that, you know what I mean? Everyone can make a college. I don't want to say everybody, but a lot more people make a college basketball team than an NBA or a WNBA roster. So keep that.
Just look at the draft. So only, I think, like 15 players that were drafted this year made a team. The rest got cut.
Yep.
So It's like, it's so hard to make it in the WNBA and still be on a team.
Yep.
And good for the Sky to keep both of their draft picks.
Yes, I agree. Question 6. The Boston Celtics will win the 2024 NBA championship.
I'll say Horns on that one, but I don't know. But I think that, like, no one's talking about the Celtics, and they're kind of dismantling a lot of good teams. Yeah. So,
question 7. This is a carryover from the last episode. Malort is a Chicago staple. It's delicious, and everyone should try it.
Horns. I have a bottle of Malort at my house at all times. I will make
Oh,
people take a shot of Malort. But I had, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago, I was at a guy's house. We were playing poker, and someone brought a barrel aged Malort, and it
oh,
was actually not bad. So they literally put it in a whiskey barrel and let it sit there, and it actually gave a nice smoky flavor to it, and it wasn't that bad.
I mean,
But I will
we're talking like
drink Malort.
cork top, like special
Yeah,
bottle. Oh,
you can get they just sell it at the store, but it's like it's not a like fancy bottle. It's just says barrel aged on it. But I will drink Malort anytime some new person's over because I won't make them take it themselves.
yeah.
And I've drinking so much of it that
Uh,
it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. When we were at Dan's bachelor party, you actually took a shot with me, and that was by far one of the most disgusting liqueurs I've ever had in my life. Did you try the handshake that Hayes was talking about, where it's you take the shot in a swig of old style?
Yeah, old style's fine. I like old style beer, so
Yeah,
it probably would be fine.
yeah, yeah.
The worst part of Malort is it has just a lingering aftertaste.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah.
bad part of Malort, and I think having a swig of Old Style would probably help it.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because actually the liquor itself, now that I'm remembering it, it wasn't terrible, but the aftertaste was just it tasted like cat urine. I mean, don't ask how I know what that tastes like, but that's what I
I,
would
I
assume.
tell I tell people it tastes like if you like lick earwax. I'm guessing that's kind of what I would think earwax.
That's pretty similar. Speaking of licking earwax, question 8: the
What?
the Chicago Bears will win the NFC North this year.
Um, Thorns.
Okay,
I think the Lions still win it,
okay.
but I think the NFC North gets 3 teams in the playoffs.
Oh, I like that.
So the Lions will win the division. The Packers will make the playoffs, and I think the Bears will make the playoffs. Uh, it'll be a close division. I think the Bears and Packers will both win like 10 games, and the Lions will probably win 11 or 12.
Okay, I like it. Question 9, and this is a question that deserves its own segment on our show because I'm sick and tired of seeing this all over the place. Question 9: Chick-fil-A is overrated.
Um, I agree. Horns. It's so yes, horns. First, it's too goddamn expensive.
Yes.
Why? It's like $7, $8 for just the sandwich.
Yes.
And I can get a chicken sandwich at Wendy's for cheaper and it tastes better. Sorry.
Yes.
The only good thing about Chick-fil-A is their sauce. That's the only
Yes.
good thing. Well,
And
and
their mannerism.
the waffle fries are good, but it's like if I'm going there getting a meal, it's going to be like $20. Forget that.
Yeah. They also don't give you very many. Like, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be the obese person here. But like their portions aren't even that big. You know what I
No.
mean? And yeah, like I mean, it wasn't super long ago, but I took the family out to eat at Chick-fil-A, and 3 people eating Chick-fil-A, it was $40. Like I would rather just go to a regular sit down restaurant.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah. Like the fact that you can go to a restaurant and get a cheaper chicken sandwich is ridiculous.
yeah.
It's the same reason that I will never go to Five Guys again. It's way too
Yeah.
expensive.
Dude, similar story. I went to the Five Guys that we have by us here, and it was me, me, my son, Susan, and then my brother was with us. And 4 burgers and fries was $100. It was my total was $100, and it was not like it was just ridiculous. Like the food
No,
is good, but it's not worth $100.
no.
Um, so yeah, that we could throw that in the now. Granted, Five Guys is fucking delicious though. I
Yeah,
like
but
Five Guys.
again, I'm not gonna. It's not worth the price. Sorry.
No, yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. So yeah, uh, last question. This is one that I'm very confident this will happen this year. The Chicago Bulls will retire one jersey by the end of next season. And if you agree with it, which jersey do you think they're retiring?
The only one that they could possibly retire is Joakim Noah.
Okay.
And I don't know if it'll be next year because Derrick Rose, they're going to retire Derrick Rose. It's going to happen.
Right.
But I don't know if it's going to be next year. They may do it because the whole Ring of Honor thing was this year. They may do it next year for Joakim Noah.
Yep.
But that would be the only one.
Here, I'm going to blow your mind with this one. We mentioned his name earlier.
Artis Gilmore. Yes, he needs to be retired too.
Him too. But I think they're going to retire Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you look at it, the most synonymous Bulls jerseys in NBA history has always been Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen. Well, they got Mike, obviously. They got Scottie, obviously. They're missing Dennis. And it's like, well, how are you going to have, the three players that made the most incredible team in NBA history, all contributing for on their own ways, and not have Dennis Rodman, the quote unquote fan favorite. And I'll put him as probably Chicago's either 1A or 1B fan favorite of all time, because at this point, I don't know who's a bigger fan favorite, Joakim Noah or Dennis Rodman. I mean, actually, real quick, who do you think is bigger, Dennis or Joakim?
Joakim.
Joakim. Okay.
I think, well, part of it is recency bias. I think a lot of Bulls fans now, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the ones we interact with.
Yeah.
They weren't around or early. They were around like the second part of the three-peat.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. Plus Joakim was so much longer.
Yep.
But say we do retire Dennis Rodman. He's retired in New York or Detroit also. Yeah. How many players have their jersey retired for two teams? Well, other than I think Jordan,
Shaq.
Yeah. So Shaq was Lakers and Orlando?
I think he was Miami and Orlando.
Miami?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. You're right. Lakers and Orlando. Yep. You're right. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think he was Lakers and Milwaukee. Michael Jordan was Miami and Chicago.
Yeah, because Miami makes sense.
Well, because originally I loved this because as much as Pat Riley and the Chicago Bulls organization butted heads, Pat Riley said that he's retiring Michael Jordan's number because nobody in the league should be able to wear 23. It's kind of like the Gretzky thing, where nobody else should wear number 99 except Wayne Gretzky. He felt the same thing. So, yeah. So, Scott, that was Horns or Thorns. And as you know, for winning Horns or Thorns, or for participating, that is, we give you the floor to address the Horniacs as you will. So go ahead. What do you got to say to them?
Well, I have a Horns or Thorns for you.
Oh, for me?
So,
I never get to play these games. I'm excited.
Okay. Is Portillo's Italian beef the best beef around?
Oh, Thorns. By far, Thorns.
Thank you. Portillo's isn't good. I'm going to stick with it.
Portillo's,
it's overrated.
It's like the Olive Garden of Chicago food. Like, that's the best comparison I could give. Like, everyone's like, I'm going to go eat some authentic Italian food and we're going to go to Olive Garden. No, like, I'm going to eat some authentic Chicago food and go to Portillo's. No, like, you want a good Italian beef, go to Al's on Taylor Street, go to Mr. Beef. I don't know what street it's on, but it's also in Chicago. Basically, go to Chicago, and when there is a building named after somebody's first name, Al, Luke, Bobby's, Billy's, that's going to have some of the best Chicago food you ever eaten. Don't go to these mass-produced chains that literally just take stuff out of a package and get it hot.
Yep.
Go to a real Chicago food. And I'm telling you, and I was watching this YouTube Shorts guy. I'm not encouraging this at all, but he's like, the more dangerous the place looks outside, the better the food is going to be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not telling you guys to take a walk on the south side at midnight. I'm just saying if you're sketched out about how the place looks, chances are it's going to be the best food you've ever eaten. So I'm going to say Thorns.
Well, the perfect example, Chinese food restaurant, if you go in there and the menu looks absolutely worn down and it's just like there's like one table there and it's just like
Some
looks
kid
terrible.
doing his
Oh, it's going to
homework.
be the kid has to be doing its homework in there, possibly working. It's going to be the best.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we had one of those by us, real quick, because we live out in the suburbs, but we have this one Chinese restaurant by us, and every time I go there, like I watch this kid grow up. He'd go in, be doing his homework, and then later on, he graduated from being at the counter or at the table doing his homework to behind the counter working. So it was cool. I just watched this kid grow up. But yeah, you're right. The more worn down a place looks, the better the food is, because it's like we don't care what this looks like. The food is what you're here for. You don't care about the pictures. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, well,
But
Scott,
what was your question? No, sorry.
what was my question?
Oh, what I want to tell the Horniacs?
Yeah. Like,
Um, don't expect much from Lonzo Ball. Like, I know what that news article just came out that he had a meniscus transplant, but that happened over a year ago, and he still isn't cleared to play full contact 5-on-5. Like, yeah, I don't expect much. He does seem to be going on like a media tour and trying to get his name out there, but I just think it's all talk, and I feel bad for him because like I feel like this was the perfect spot for him, but at this point, don't expect much, and I kind of hope the Bulls do trade him.
yeah.
But
Yeah. I honestly, I think you hit the head on that nail. I think he was over. I mean, I don't want to say he was overburdened, but you got to think with the LeVar and the Lakers and being in this
yeah,
constant spotlight, Chicago would have been like the major market away from the major market, and he could have kind of been himself, still gotten his fame, still reap, you know what I mean, been Lonzo Ball, but in a different matter. Yeah, absolutely. I hope he does come back to playing health, because I never really wish I would never not want to see somebody play something that they've always. More of the story is it was his dream to play basketball. I want him to be able to fulfill his dream to continue to play basketball, because injuries are no fun. You know what I mean? So, you got anything else before we leave?
yeah. WNBA, fix your schedule. Stop putting games on at 9 p.m. It's like they have they have like 2-3 games playing at 6,
Mm,
and then it's just 9 p.m. And it's like every night games at 9 p.m.
yeah,
Like, I understand that it's a lot of West Coast teams, and um but yeah, stop playing at that. Also, um I kind of noticed it's like the location of the WNBA is all like northeast, midwest,
yeah,
west, and that's it. There's nothing in the south other than Atlanta and like Texas.
yeah.
I was kind of surprised about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as the popularity grows, like I'm sure that
Yeah.
more expansion teams to follow. But one thing I want them to fix is like the availability to watch
Oh,
the games.
you can't. I even bought League Pass, and half the time it's like, oh, you can't watch this. This game's on NBA TV.
Yes,
Or,
exactly.
hey, it's on Prime Video, so you can't watch this game.
Which real quick before I lose my mind, WNBA. Can you answer me what the hell you guys are doing playing a game on the NBA League Pass?
Yeah. Well, NBA TV.
Well, whatever. Yeah, TV. Like
Well, the NBA owns them, so
I know, but it's like you want that product to take off, and you're not even going to promote them on their own. You know what I mean? Like what's next? Are we going to start playing White Sox games on the marquee channel?
yeah, it's they need to figure out something with I think in the next couple of years, it's going to be a lot easier to watch games.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just, I don't think they expected how many people wanted to watch. And it's kind of a learning thing right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of an example of like the goldfish was bigger than the bowl, because I knew they were expecting a big audience with Clark, Reese, and all these big names coming out, but they probably just did not have the capacity to do so. But we'll see. Like you said, I'm sure it'll get better. Scott, we've reached that sad time of the show where we got to draw it to a close. Before we, I know you just said about WNBA. What do you got? What do you want to say to the Horniacs before we go?
That's it. The Olympics are coming up. Be excited about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Olympics. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode from all of us here at the suit. Well, just me and Scott, but from all of us here at the studios.
Dan doing adult things, missing episodes.
Dan being an adult and moving, buying a house, being responsible, and that's going to draw this episode to a close. We thank everyone for tuning in. If you want to be a part of the show, I'll be at the Ask a Horniak or as a guest on the show. Drop us a DM or drop us an email. You know how to get a hold of us. Please don't show up at our house. But if you do, we'll put you on the show.
Show up at Dan's house. He needs help moving.
Yeah, he needs help moving. So give him a hand with a few boxes. We'll put you on the show. Subscribe to our Discord, subscribe to our Twitter, start watching our YouTube shorts. They're pretty fun. Thank you to all the guests who have been on our show so far this season with Hayes, Q, Mo Banks. Thank you so much for your guys' support with our channel. Please continue to follow them, show us love, and we'll be back soon with another episode. So from all of us here, we ask our Horniacs to see red and go Bulls. Good night, everybody.